Hello and welcome to week 13 in Technology and Society, and a little bit of housekeeping here. There's going to be only 12 chapters, so this is the chapter before the last. The next one is going to be Technology and Our World, which will focus on the Anthropocene and the effect of technology on our planet, and those ending the class with that, but only 2 more chapters, including chapter 11, Technology and Human Beings. Now, I had a really great time putting this one together. There's some personal interest I have in these things, and the angle that I ended up going down, the little rabbit hole that I ended up going down, happened to be in ergonomics. Now, it ended up becoming a really good platform to explore the interaction between human beings and technology. And it goes back to the one of the master's degrees that I have, which is in human factors engineering. And it was sort of a refresh of all that stuff. So it was fun to revisit that material and provide you with some information on that. So in terms of ergonomics, there are 3 different kinds of ergonomics that we use to understand individuals in the world, in the workplace. So we have physical ergonomics, probably the most familiar, and that is, all the things that make work comfortable. The height of your desk, the angle of your screen, the shape of handles, building instrument panels that are easy to understand. The lights come on when something is wrong instead of lights going out when something's wrong. That was at first that was the thing. Then they had to reverse that. So all the lights will be off until something comes up. Used to be the other way around. Everything's all right, everything's lit up, but when something, one goes out, we don't necessarily see that. So there's experiments going into physical ergonomics. Then there are cognitive ergonomics, and this is how do we build machines, build computer interfaces, how do we build processes that take into account the ways in which human beings learn, remember, think, process, speak, communicate, all of these things, the way that we understand them. And probably, as I say in the course book, the kind of coolest example of that is the GUI, or the graphical user interface, that has now taken over almost all of our personal computers. Having been using computers for a really long time, they weren't always like that. My first computer use was a screen that had white text on it. That's it. And you program things into it. It was a very, very different way of interacting with computers. I found it incredibly boring, didn't like it at all. And now I'm really into technology, so, very different. But that gradual movement away from just plain text computing into the graphical user interface, which has been kind of the hallmark of both, of almost all operating systems now. Even if you look at the smaller players like Linux and some of the more obscure operating systems that are out there, O2 is one, and then there's a couple others. They're all graphical user interfaces. The big ones, of course, being Windows and Mac OS, or Apple OS now. So the use of symbolic, metaphorical items. I'm looking at my screen and there's little folders. I know what a folder is in the real world, and it operates the same way here. It's just a bunch of zeros and ones and a fake image that's being put on my screen, but nonetheless, very important. Easier to teach computers, easier to remember how to use them when we have that. Now, the third one is organizational ergonomics, and this is the patterns of how people do business, communication, hierarchies, all the different processes and policies within an organization. Are they human? We could probably relate to some difficulties there. So the discussion I'm going to focus actually on the physical, and because that's kind of more germane to what we've been talking about, actual um, stuff, technology, and it's the way it's built. Like I just take this. This is a pen that has the little rubber tip on it, so I can use it on a tablet. But then if I press this button here, it puts the regular pen out. Now, the barrel size, the actual material here, it's not rough, but it's not completely smooth. So it's a better grip. The actual length, the strength that it takes to click that clicker, that's part of the ergonomics of this. The actual visual appeal. This is actually, I got this from the American Association of Retired People. This is what you get when you turn 55. Look forward to that. And so it's kind of a pen. You see it has sort of a little thicker over here, thinner over here. All of these are well thought out designs so that this fits comfortable in my hand, and I'm more likely to use it for what it's being used for. The materials in it, the sort of, it looks rich. It's plastic, but it looks rich because it feels and looks like metal, even though it's plastic, so that kind of gives it a rich feel. All of those things, everything. So what I want you to do in the discussion is share good and bad ergonomic design. Things that are done well or not done well. I'm going to tell you one. Coffee makers run the gamut in terms of poor design and good design. I have not found, aside from the original ones, and microwaves are the same way. You have to get the book out to understand what those are, right? So I long for the day that my microwave is a dial, and when I turn it, it turns on and it clicks until it turns off. That's all I need it to do. 2 minutes. That's it. I had a microwave like that. Coffee makers now, they have all these buttons on them, or they have multi-function buttons. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Is this really usable? That goes a little bit into cognitive, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Even if you want to talk about maybe a computer program that you have that's just clunky versus one that's very elegant and easy to use. And certainly those words are used to describe the experience of human beings interacting with their machines. And certainly even in cars, the angle of the steering wheel, the size of the steering wheel, the size of the grips, the actual layout of the instrument panel, the height of the stick shift if you have one of those, and then all of those things go into, is the car comfortable to drive? Will it cause me fatigue? And of course, when you think about this in an industry, if I'm operating a machine, I'm operating a drill, let's say, all the time to, put bolts into something, manufacturing, then the weight of that, the handle, the way it vibrates, the protection on my hands, whatever, those things, they'll all add up to, is this a well-designed tool or not? And you can use any one of those examples and share good and bad ergonomics that you have experienced. The next one is a little bit of an assignment. It has some gumption to it. So I have located a free assessment for organizations to evaluate their culture. Now that's pretty similar to organizational ergonomics, is looking at workplace culture. And I'm saying organization, but I am opening this up because if you kind of think about the assignment, the questions in that assessment, and you think about it a little bit, you can assess a family, you can assess a group of friends, your coworkers, maybe your bowling league, your rock band, whatever. You can look at any group and you can use this instrument to evaluate the culture of how that group works. That's a little bit of a departure from technology per se, because we're really looking at going back to our roots in sociology here, we're really looking at non-material culture. This class is focused a lot on material culture because of its essence of focusing on technology, but that non-material culture of values, norms, expectations, culture is another aspect that we can use the word ergonomics. Is it a good fit for human beings? Is the family organization, is it good for the people that are in there? Are they comfortable? Do people have the right roles? Do they communicate? All of these things, you can see the utility of that being applied into just about any group. So there's also, I'm asking you to report out the results of that using a graphic element in your paper. And I've gone to the point of, I've given you the empty graphic. You get the scores, read the evaluation very carefully. It tells you how to score things. You're not going to have to use the last page. You're going to get everything you need from the first page. And then you'll get scores for each of 4 areas, and then you graphically represent that on a it's kind of a cross with numbers on it, and you create a square that represents your organization's status now and in 5 years. Where would you like it to be? Any changes? And so you get these kind of like weird squares overlapping each other. You'll see when you see in the course book. I've also included a tutorial on how I use that graphic in Keynote. You can do it in PowerPoint as well. You don't have to look for the different tools, but I did it in Keynote very easily. Took data and translated it to that graphic sort of picture. So this is a skill. It's not necessary for understanding the concepts, but it gives you the opportunity to practice a skill for importing an image into your PowerPoint presentation or Keynote and adding elements on top of that, transparent, or semi-transparent elements on top of it, using the tools within that presentation software. So just a little kind of get that tool under your belt. It's always a cool thing to have. So a little bit of a busy week. Only one more chapter. Next week is pretty much the end of the class, and what a journey! I will have some parting thoughts on this. I am incredibly excited about how this class has been and what I want to do with it in the future. I will be offering this again next semester, and with some changes. So, and I will be looking to hear from you about what worked, what didn't work, what did I miss, what do you want me to see, what do you want to see in future renditions of this class to make it better, what do you want me to get rid of. Can't get rid of me. You're stuck with me. So, so that's this week. So let's end the semester strong. It's been such a great class. Everybody's really participating so well, and just let's finish that way. Very good experience. And so we had chapter 11 and chapter 12. That will finish things off. And so this week, just chapter 11. Look forward to seeing those ideas on good and bad physical ergonomics and design in chapter 11 discussion. And have a great week. Take care.